Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode here today. I have a guest. I've known him for some time now from the work environment, and we both worked in business development together. He just recently promoted. So congrats again from my side for this.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And the reason I wanted him on the show is because I know he different roles in the past, but also sales positions. So I just wanted to talk with how your journey was, maybe what got you into sales. Be probably valuable if you could introduction about yours.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, what brought me to technology and sales was like completely random, to be honest. Like my background is, so I'm originally from Lebanon, but I studied and I passed a bit of my life in France. I grew up in Lebanon, was brought up in like a culturally Lebanese way. And after my schooling years, I studied in France. I studied economics and marketing. Like I landed my first job in FMCG in food and beverage. I was like so passionate about food, like how to produce food, how to sell it, how to position it in the market. Like I was more into the marketing side, but then like I pivoted a bit. I felt the like the passion for selling, for development. I worked in many countries.
Would you say, and people who are more like adequate for sales roles compared to other cultures?
Yeah, the thing is, I always get confused on this. Like I thought that being from the Middle East would actually give me an edge over other people, since like we're in countries where like people are more warm-hearted. So in Lebanon, in the Middle East, usually people tend to be like more of like natural salespeople. They have this gift of easily building relationships with other people, easily being like smooth talkers. But I don't know if it works everywhere. Like if you're like too forward, too much of a like an aggressive seller in European countries, I don't think it's an added value. So you definitely have to tone it down when you're in Europe. You have to keep a balance. But yeah, like we thrive in an environment where there's negotiation, there's the human factor, you know.
Yeah, like that it depends how hard it is for those people probably to wind down their energy. Extroverted or collectivistic is the word culture. So someone coming from the Middle East, I mean, they have the social skills usually, talking about the majority, I think. But as you said, like the question is, how difficult will it be for them to take?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because I see a lot of friends who come from the Middle East, and it's a different way of like negotiating, different way of doing business. There's no right and wrong, but you definitely have to tone down some of the like the personal touch, the like the like in the Middle East, you tend to talk more about the person, or you start the conversation, any kind of business conversation, by trying to bond with the other person, talking about whatever, like his origins, cultural things. You can't like you tend to do it also in the West, but less. Like you try to tone it down. You're more professional when you talk. It's there's less casual talk, let's say.
Yeah, that's funny in the Middle East because, like, also in Turkey, like it's expected to do that small talk, but then they will do two, three other things at the same time, like multitasking, and then like each side knows that it's like also, I mean, it's expected, so it's not completely like super genuine sometimes, but it's part of
But
the
you go back and forth.
yeah, it's part
Like
of the
I feel,
tradition. It's like an
yeah.
investigation also.
No, no, like you tend to go into like, like chit chats and social talk just to also to to lighten the mood, to lighten the talk, to lighten the mood a bit, because sometimes you get it gets intense with the discussion and everything. So you throw a joke, like you turn it into a chit chat just to tone it down, just to keep keep the the relationship, the business discussion uh, in a good momentum.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
just in order not to lose the good vibe in it.
yeah. I mean, like I was focused on like Central Europe when I was doing the business development roles, but like you also worked on the Middle East. Would you say like people in the Middle East hang up the phone less often than people in Central Europe, maybe?
I don't know. Like honestly, I haven't worked on the European market that much to have like a definitive answer.
Yeah,
But I would say, yeah, like like especially in countries like the Arabian Gulf, they tend to be always, polite. They would always, yeah, like you say yes to everything. They wouldn't, push back. But then when it comes to showing up to meetings, or maybe like signing the deal, then it would take more than just a discussion. Like you have to be there in person. You need to really be able to convince them, relay the message and everything. But it's easy to connect with them. Like they would always be open for
mm.
a discussion.
It's
I have never had a case where like someone would hang up on me or something, except if it's like a Westerner in Dubai, let's say.
yeah, yeah. No, it's funny because I mean, not funny that much, but like I had a couple of people hang up the phone on me, like, and I mean really a couple, not just one or two. But I think if you handle people from Central Europe, while the beginning might be more difficult to convince them, they will not have second thoughts too much when you go for a second round. Whereas, as you said, like for the Middle East, you start quickly and you can end quickly.
Yeah, I don't know. What I find nice about my market is that like discussions can be fun. You can mix a bit of sometimes like work and pleasure. You can have discussions on things that are unrelated to work. It's like you find more fulfillment. You're more engaged with the other person than keeping it purely like purely professional. Well, that's something really that really like elevates some of the like the stress part, or the yeah, like you feel like it's easy, it's much easier, like there's a flow, you like it.
But is it the same small talk topics that you would have in Central Europe? Because like Central Europe, Germany, we would talk about, I don't know, the weather, recent soccer match, stuff like this.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes it can be random things. It can be about like, yeah, like the most common stuff like the weather or anything. But can be about, I don't know, if you're having a discussion about like, let's say, it can be about food, it can be about culture, it can be about, yeah, it can be about anything. But I
Yeah,
think you have to pick up on these things, and that's what distinguishes like a good salesperson.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So
That the other person would appreciate, would make him open up, then you should definitely take advantage of it.
yeah. So going back to your story from the beginning, like being in FMCG first, working on the marketing side, trying to position the products or brands, and then like you decided to switch to a more like a front desk sales role. Do you remember like more also more in detail what made you like do that switch? Like was it maybe that you hear from colleagues that were doing it already, or was it more like that you were in a routine within marketing that you said now it feels just the same, like I don't get a thrill of it, I need some thrill in my life, or like what was it, something else?
Yeah. It's a bit of both, to be honest. I was at a point in time where I felt like I reached like some kind of a plateau in terms of like the learning. Nothing new was happening, and yeah, the FMCG industry on the long run can become a bit boring because there's no innovation, there's nothing new basically. So you keep on doing the same thing. You can be a bit creative
Yeah,
with the way you sell, with the way you market
yeah,
certain products, but it's a bit redundant. And I've had a lot of friends who like actually moved into the tech industry, made this conversion earlier in their career, and I felt they were much more fulfilled, much happier in terms of like like even the compensation was much more interesting,
yeah,
and the job allowed them to be much more flexible in terms of their work location. Like they can travel, they can work from different places, and that's something you basically can't do when you're in FMCG.
yeah. But like it's interesting that you say that, but like FMCG is also like a hot pot, a hot topic. Like for most people, it's tough to get into, and if you're in it, it has quick pace. So I don't know. It has some incentives, I guess. But what um, like what makes it interesting, or like why is it so demanding to work in FMCG? If you say there's also like maybe that's true for most jobs, but like if there's some routine part of it.
Yeah, there's definitely a routine. There's definitely a routine, but it's interesting because look, the good thing about FMCG is that you can actually connect better with the product. It's their physical products, their products that we like grew up with, that we eat, that we have some kind of sensory connection with them. Whether it's a chocolate bar, or I don't know, a detergent that you would that you would easily recognize
Yeah,
the scent or everything. So you have some kind of a sensory connection with it. You grew up to love it, and you become so loyal to it, so connected with it when you start working on it, and and there's this like the fun in it. What makes it fulfilling is that when I was working as a brand manager, I was like uh, growing a brand. So basically, in FMCG, you're nourishing a brand, you're nourishing a baby. You see
yeah,
it grow, you see it reach like new heights. You're in contact with the sales team. You try to do product knowledge. So you're kind of like the CEO of a brand. You keep pushing it for new heights. In tech, it's a bit different because the product is much more abstract. You're gonna have to up your game in terms of like how you convey the message. Sometimes you need to, yeah, you have to go into abstract selling. Consultative selling is hard because
yeah,
you need to understand the customer's needs and challenges. You don't have that in FMCG. In FMCG, it's much more, let's say, transactional,
yeah,
much more short term with the end customer.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, but like the many working hours within FMCG, they stem from like trying to, I don't know, calculate the prices or which positions they should have in stores, right? Like you tell me, like make it a little imaginative. for people who are not also part, who don't have any understanding of it, to
Yeah.
see more.
Yeah, in terms of like, there's a lot of planning going on. So you plan for campaigns. There's like, if you're like, let's pick a random brand, like a chocolate brand. If you're in charge of this particular brand in terms of sales and marketing,
Yeah,
you actually act as like the main the main CEO, like the CEO of the brand. So you're responsible of the forecasting part, the sales planning. You're always in touch with salespeople who needs to make sure that they need to make sure that they hit their target, that there's sufficient stock in the stores. You need to also juggle with the promotions, the campaigns. So there's many they would like there's going to be many things on your plate, and
yeah,
you need to be very efficient in terms of like time management. So it can be hectic because there's a lot going on, and there's financial part, there's marketing, there's sales.
yeah,
uh yeah, whereas in tech it's more focused on the function itself. Like you have to focus really on the selling part, rather than there's no stock, there's no actually field operation. I don't know if you got what I mean.
yeah. Like yeah, you mean just how many units are produced and tried to be sold to the markets.
Yeah, like that's actually what makes it much more hectic.
Yeah,
The fact that it's physical, there's an expiry date. You need to make sure that there's stock, there's the stock is displayed. So it adds a bit more complexity into the sales part. Whereas in tech, it's all digits, so there's nothing
yeah,
there. You're only selling like a string of code, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. Yeah, but like for motivating like the salespeople, you were saying, like
Oh yeah.
how do you motivate them? And like I mean, before, were you in like sales roles before those FMCG times, or not so much, and you just had that generalist brand manager role then?
No, I like before tech I was in FMCG. Like I worked in FMCG for like 12 years,
Yeah,
and mostly in the capacity of like managing a brand from a commercial standpoint. So yeah, basically to motivate the team, there's like any other business, there's incentives based on on uh, on sales. There's also the distribution factor, which we don't have in technology. So the more you make the product available in like retail points or sales points, the commission will be affected. So yeah, you can play on different things in FMCG. I think it can be much more complex and much more interesting, because yeah, salespeople usually have like routes where they like visit stores, and they make sure that their product is available there. They have to make sure that limited edition products are there, promotion products. So you can play also on the distribution, maximize the distribution, but they also have like the target, the basic sales target that they need to achieve on a monthly basis. So yeah, yeah. In
yeah,
tech,
yeah.
and what I'm like being exposed to right now, so it's mostly sales. You have to reach like we call it ACV, like an annual contract
Contract.
value.
Yeah,
Yeah, annual contract value. But part of the incentive is like part of the levers are also selling specific solutions. So there's actual incentives every month on a specific solution, on a specific add-on. You also get compensated out of the total team's revenue. So it's they're both interesting and well thought, honestly. But I would pick the technology, because it directly affects your income. Like the incentives and the target directly affects it. Whereas in FMCG, there's a lot of other factors. There's the market. There's market can be volatile sometimes, and uh, it's a more of a collective work rather than a single person's work. You know.
Yeah, and there's time delays somehow, like due to supply chain and other things.
Yeah, exactly. Like what happened during the COVID times, like supply chains were affected. Yeah, there's much more like disrupt like interruptions of like in terms of like the supply chain. It got affected a lot during the COVID times. There's panic shopping. These challenges are problems uh, that you never see in technology companies.
Hmm. If
So yeah.
if you look, I mean, if you look back at like the past years, how did sales impact you like personally also, like apart from work? Like did you contemplate on that? Have you seen something changing, or did you just find eventually what was fitting you as type of person anyway?
Uh, yeah, definitely, it changed me as a person a lot. So when I first started, I like the first role that I took when I was in Lebanon was more of a pure marketing role. I kind of dreaded the direct contact with the buyer, or I didn't want to be in a situation where I have to be in like customer facing. But then I grew up to love it, because like being in front of a computer all day and planning things can be a bit boring on the long run, and won't have a sense of fulfillment once you've matured as an individual. But it definitely liberated me from my shyness, uh, from the fact that I was more of a person that was much more reserved, introverted, and being out there in contact with people all day long, uh, like improving my social skills, my sales skills, uh, made me open up better to the world and as an individual. So it definitely changed my character for the better.
Yeah, yeah, um yeah, looking back, like I don't know, for me also, I was social before, but like doing that kind of work, it made me super direct. I mean, Germans are known to be direct, but like that job made me even more direct. And uh, because like after talking to like company heads and owners, or people who lead like 50 or 500 people, or even 5,000 maybe, like you really like you're not like afraid of like talking to anyone basically,
Yeah,
um like regardless of how much experience people had. Like I think joining like sales and tech, obviously like HR wouldn't have given the green light to people to join the company if they didn't have the capacity. But everyone was like hesitant at the beginning, and like when everyone was new. So and like what I liked about like our experience with the company is like we were also given the chance to be, I don't know, we were thrown into the water to
yeah,
practice on
that's
ourselves directly, and it wasn't like, hey, like you guys are gonna be preparing 6 months and then you're gonna be starting slowly to dial up customers. No, like we were
yeah,
just
yeah.
like
You have
thrown into
to.
it.
I agree with you. Like you have to learn on the go. Like we were never prepared for this role, to be honest. Like I I read a lot about it. I've asked the advice of colleagues, but
Mm,
actually doing it is a totally different thing. Because yeah, so cold
okay.
calling
Yeah.
is a hard thing. Like I think for most, like the average person would be anxious to do it. Like would have some kind of fear to call just a random person and try to engage on
Yeah.
a conversation related to business and product. It's also liberating because it gives you some kind of guts to pick up the phone and call someone. It's nice. It's a good skill, to be honest, that
Yeah.
I don't regret learning, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Even for people who are not sure, like I think they should try it just to gain those social skills, like regardless of if they stay within sales or not. It's a nice boot camp, and
Yeah,
they're given a lot of learnings, but you do it uh, like in real terms. Yeah, like at the beginning, like thinking back, like you're like, oh, okay, you look at the scripts that you maybe prepared and
yeah,
exercises, and
yeah,
everyone is doing it very slightly differently, but it's pretty much the same. But then you're still like excited. So I was more like stressed about also sometimes like having to talk to someone who's, for instance, chief commercial officer and leads like 500 people, or like as an example, because you feel like, is that substance gonna be enough? You have to come to the point, and is that info that you're giving gonna be enough? But like, what made me like really relax, and this is a best practice here, or a hint, like, man, I really saw like that most of those people were so busy that they sometimes didn't know what they were doing in their department. Like not all of them, but like I also saw their human side, and this is what really like relaxed me about this kind of talking to those guys in general.
yeah. I don't know. I agree, and like the good thing about cold calling, especially in technologies, that you get to practice your pitch a lot. You can do it over 10 times a day.
Yeah,
You keep like getting better and better. You start with a script,
yeah,
you start adding to it, then you go off script, and you
yeah,
try different methods to create this bond to generate the interest. And that
yeah,
can be like, you can apply it in everyday life. You can
yeah,
apply it when you're I don't know, you're going
yeah,
shopping, you're I don't know, you're in a pub, I don't know, having a discussion with a girl. You
yeah,
can use it everywhere because you get to be a people reader, which is amazing. This is because most of the jobs require such a talent, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's also very creative, even though like some people, depending on your teams, given if you work for a big company, different teams, different supervisors, like sometimes they want you to act in a different way during your sales approaches, but then if you talk informally to other colleagues or you hear them talking, then you actually see there's like many ways leads to Rome. Like it's a saying that's like there's different paths to take to the target, basically. And I
Yeah.
think if what you have like suits somehow and you get some return from it, then people also will not tell you much about how to do your thing.
Yeah, like the thing is, what they try to teach when they onboard you is like the proper way of doing it, or like the maybe more like the academic way, but then you have to find your own way, and you have to do lots of trials and errors. And in some markets, maybe the classic approach won't work, so you have to adapt it to the cultural context and everything. And then you can always create your own way. It doesn't like it's nothing scientific, basically. It's human relationship, and there's not a single way of doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I would much rather do this than like sit in front of Excel sheets for 8 hours, like
Oh yeah,
and
I
yeah,
tried it. It's no fun, honestly. I've like
yeah,
part of my like brand management role was to like plan for the whole, like the budget of the whole year when it comes to like the margins, the marketing spend, everything, and like, and usually budgeting is done in October, so we have a full month where we're like we're on our Excel sheets all day long, and you get exhausted. Like you feel this like like burn out at the end of the month, because you have to deliver a full budget. You have to present to the board, make sure it's approved and everything, and it wears you down, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. So when they publish, this is just a side question. When they publish the budgets in October, usually this is also the time when they throw out new roles on the market, right? For like the next fiscal year.
Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
really depends on the company. I think, like, yeah, basically multinationals do it. Yeah, because based on the budget, they can, like, they consolidate all the budgets from the different departments and different countries, and like based on that, they would assess if they're gonna need, like, I don't know, new resources for new business development, or for to maybe to create new brands or acquire new brands, or planning their expansions in different markets. So yeah, it's usually at that time of the year, like October, November. So it's planning for the next fiscal year, which is usually in Jan.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, is there a time? I don't know. I ask you two questions. You can either pick or answer both. Like, well, when you think back about like sales, was there a time that you remember that was super challenging? Like maybe the most challenging time with a certain person, and was there maybe another time that was like super funny? You can just pick any.
Yeah, like back when I was in Lebanon, I worked for like a distributor of FMCG products, and I was hired as as a like a chief business developer. So I was in charge of like finding new brands, sourcing new brands, or even creating new brands for the distributor, and managing like all the commercial side and marketing side. So if there was a need for like any type of new category, I was in charge of prospecting like the local market or the regional market for for producers, creating the packaging part, the go-to-market strategy, the plan, executing it, leading the sales team, and everything. That was honestly the best experience ever, because you're doing something from scratch, and you feel that you're in total control over your business. There's no restrictions.
Yeah,
You can pull off whatever you want. Like, there's no limitation, or like you just need the approval of your stakeholder, the CEO. If the plan makes sense, if if you've proven yourself, if you've proven like that you can actually pull it off, he will grant you the budget, the funds, and you can proceed. I had many success stories back then. It was a thrill, honestly, like leading these new brands, and yeah, it's I have like great memories out of this experience.
yeah, yeah. That sounds good. Yeah, I also like usually if you have a product that you can relate to. Uh, I
You
mean,
can
it's
go,
also
yeah, you can go after, I mean, like, you can go after what you love. Like, I actually created like I used to love honey, so I
yeah,
created a honey brand and came up with the name. I can actually set the strategy of the brand, influence the packaging, the main
yeah,
slogan, everything, and even like the like how I'm gonna position it in the market, which is fun. Honestly, it's fun doing it.
yeah. It's super fun because like I mean, tech is also very interesting, and I like IT related stuff. But with physical products, the general population is more close to those
Yeah,
products than any software. Not many people will know about it, and that's also nice when like more people
I
are
mean,
aware
I mean,
of yeah,
yeah, if it's an enterprise software, yeah, I fully agree with you. But there are like brands of, like tech brands, like the big ones, like, I don't know, TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, or all of these
yeah,
like social media. These are like brands that are easily recognized and people love them. People actually connect with them much more than a chocolate brand or a honey
Yeah,
brand. Yeah.
like even if you were like if you were to work for Duolingo, like people, everyone knows it. My parents are using it, man. Like me and my brother, we got them hooked on Duolingo.
But that's amazing. Honestly, it's like a new way to learn a language, and
Yeah,
everyone can have access to it. You don't actually need to go to a physical class, and
and
it's a good change, you know.
it's quite like they're really doing it. I mean, like they are always in the top three somehow, and they cleared like the leaks, and then they share the success. It's very very good. Yeah, that they're on it. It's better time spent than doing something else, like shooting birds on the phone or something. Like thinking about like you're like promotion the account executives. Like just a recap for the people that were never heard of business development or like those cold call terms. Like just to give the summary of the position. So you're
Yeah,
basically trying to create momentum or attention for the company's product. It can be software, for instance, and then you're doing a lot of calculated cold calls. Cold means the person doesn't know that you will be trying to get to reach them,
yeah,
but you do it also in a smart and structured way because you have to have a good schedule for the whole day and Monday to Friday each day.
be efficient,
Uh,
and yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like in average, how many calls was it for you? Like Monday or Tuesdays? Just a rough estimate.
So I mean, there's different ways to reach
Yeah,
the customer. It doesn't have to be cold calls. Like actually, like there's different ways of doing it. Some people prefer to like send emails or messages before cold calling or email. Like yeah, you actually warn the potential customer, the prospect, and then you
yeah,
give him a call. But I myself, I tend to go for cold calling sometimes without prior engagement. So I like, honestly, on average, I
yeah,
think I would I would do, like we call them touches.
yeah,
I would do maybe 50 touches per day
yeah,
if I'm like, if my schedule is clear,
yeah,
and I try to have like 2 to 3 meaningful discussions, and that's a good average, honestly,
yeah.
to be able to get to your target, to which is like 7 or 8 opportunities per month.
Yeah, and this like opportunities meaning here again for the audience, like
Yeah, yeah. So
cases. Yeah, you can explain. Yeah.
yeah, so basically opportunity is when a prospect or a lead is actually interested and want to engage. So there's some kind of a project with a timeline in mind. So let's say like I don't know, a manufacturing company interested in a project planning, and they wanna go live in 6 months. So that's an opportunity for a business developer.
Yeah, yeah, and that can also be quite varying across companies and the expectation of the employer. So it's always important to, if you go into sales, to read the fine print. I would say, um, but yeah, like for our company, like yeah, it was like as you said, the figure. I know from other companies, like that they were expecting 50 or 60, and I'm not sure like how many people were reaching the 60, but like yeah, I know that some other companies had higher expectations in terms of outreach,
Yeah,
which is also crazy. But I think it was like a couple years ago, it was more the norm, right? It was even more normal.
yeah, yeah. And like again, like even for like sales development roles, so there's like the outbound and the inbound. I don't know if the audience is familiar with that, but basically outbound is like you like it's the sales person initiating the engagement, whereas the inbound is when uh, a prospect or we call it a lead. So lead actually is someone who logs into your website. He kind of submitted some kind of an interest. He filled a form. He reached out to you on the chat rubric. So it's someone who actually is interested and is wants to connect with the company. So in that case, it's we call it an inbound lead, and these tend to be a bit easier to engage with because they're interested. There is an interest. There is an initial interest.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, like exactly. This is where I wanted to go with the direction. Like doing this cold outreach, whether phone or emails and campaigns, and having this momentum and keeping this momentum because targets also usually run monthly despite
Yeah.
vacations, so you plan that ahead. But you also
And
work
holiday.
with like
Yeah.
people who support you, like on yeah, like how do you phrase it? Like they support you in a assisting role sometimes, like
Yeah.
business development associates or sales development representatives.
Yeah.
Um, at our company, they were supporting the BDR role sometimes. You can also like comment on that, and then you have account executives. So I'm trying to depict a bigger picture right now because later I want to be jumping to the account executive position. If you want to comment, you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, yeah, like the opportunities are basically the first stages of the opportunity is managed by the business developers, but the sorry, the whole like the whole engagement or the closing of the deal takes like the whole a whole enterprise to close it. So there's like roles like BDAs that try to like build the whole hierarchy of the decision making. They they uh, they try to find like the people to connect with. They do what we call a 360 profiling of the company, understanding like what would be their challenges, their use cases, understand their strategy, and like all of this will be drafted into like a point of view. So this point of view will stay in the account planning, and so business development representatives can actually use those to uh, to pick up what the customer would need, try to build a plan with him, show him like what would happen if the software would be implemented, what would be like the generated returns and everything, and then the AE would take the lead, take the opportunity forward. He would conduct more discovery. He would plan a whole success plan with the company, show like the business value map, show like the return of investment, work in conjunction with a system engineer. So a system engineer is basically more of a technical function in enterprise softwares, where like he's basically responsible of demoing a certain solution and customizing it to the like customer's workflow or the customer's business model. And at the end, like you can also make use of specific account executives that are leading on specific solutions or specific modules, because these modules are a bit much more complicated, or yeah, so basically much more complicated. And at the end of the sales cycle, like management can also step in to get the signing off. So there's a lot of people get involved in an opportunity. Like there's maybe 6 or 7 people that sometimes jump into the calls and pushes the opportunity forward.
Yeah, 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 and exactly, and like you have to be smart about it, because some of those roles might have slightly different incentives for compensation,
Yeah,
and so you have to see where the overlap is, where you can work together. That's like a best practice. And it's also important, in my opinion, for the audience to know that like positions like a business development associate or sales development representative can be sometimes even in other companies. It could be in one role, or one of them could be merged into the BDR
yeah,
role. So it really depends on the fine print. That's what I learned. So always read the fine print. Maybe like if someone wants to go into sales and they read SDR role and say, okay, BDR is better. No, it doesn't have to be. If you look at the role description and it aligns with the BDR, then they just call it SDR. It could be like BDR. That's what I saw. Yeah.
yeah. Like like everyone should always read the fine print or the job description to make sure that what kind of role it entails, because business development representative in FMCG might mean something super senior, whereas it is it is not super junior, but it's not it's basically mid function, mid to low in tech. So yeah, these titles can mean different things in different like categories or businesses. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look now, like at the time I had, and you're in the middle of it, I know you had trainings for account executives. So like when you think about your time back as BDR working with account executives, like is there one thing or many things where you say, hey, like this is something I really wanted to change for a long time when I got into the role, and now I'm gonna do it differently with my BDRs, for instance? Like, is there
Yeah.
something like this?
Definitely. I like looking back, I used to feel that AEs were like too demanding in terms of like qualification and like how much detail they want us to get into. But now I kind of realize that it does matter, because it can save a lot of time, and time is of the essence. Like if you if you like waste uh, an hour on a conversation that will definitely not lead to an opportunity, it's a time wasted, and you're basically it's a lost time instead of using your time on something else. So yeah, I kind of understand when they were uh, a bit harsh on us, but what I would do better is provide better guidance on what's a good discovery, like what they
Yeah.
should be providing me in terms of like the information on the opportunity, just to make it clear if it's worth a flip. Like when I say flip is then like basically AEs uh, like move an opportunity from stage one, or like whatever the number of, it doesn't matter here, but they actually make it they turn it into a qualified opportunity, and this is how the SDRs and BDRs gets compensated. So to get this flip, sometimes you tend to like you have to understand that AEs need something that is real. It can't be a fake one. It can't be a fake opportunity. So yeah, I would definitely provide better guidance. I would coach them on what is actually required, what to focus on. So in order for them to do a better job, that's all that there is.
So would you basically, and I'm digging deeper, would you basically give them a bigger picture of why they do things, or would you give them maybe less topics but deeper topics? How would you go about it?
Yeah, I mean, like I would try to put them in my shoes, like try to
Yeah.
show them like what this info will actually do for the business. Like there's a reason why I need to know about the project, the budget, and everything.
Yeah.
Because if there's like if it's not something solid, then it's a waste of time. So, and it will also depend on, sorry, it depends on the industry, the
Yeah.
country. So like they have to be more specific. Like maybe in certain countries, uh, projects are a bit vague, or people tend to like shop around a lot or just explore things more.
Yeah.
Whereas in other countries, they have the budget, they have they plan more. So these all of these like different factors needs to be taken into consideration,
Yeah. Yeah.
by the SDR, by the BDR. So he needs to provide me a full picture of what is happening. If it's based on the tone of voice of uh, the prospect or the lead, if this is serious or not, if he's just exploring, if it's
Yeah.
just like a quotation exercise. Is it a quotation exercise
Yeah.
or is there a real project? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, like, I'm trying to close the topics off. Like, looking to the future and like working for one of the biggest tech companies, which is very involved also in artificial intelligence and generative AI. And like, where do you think that the sales role will like develop to? And like, I mean, there's a lot of like trends or researches on
Mhm.
it. There's a lot of experts saying something, but like, what's your personal opinion? Having also done the work.
Yeah, that's very interesting, honestly, question. And there's like honestly, I think the role is going towards like much like faster momentum with the tools in place, whether it's within like the prospecting tools or collaboration tools. It's much easier to get a summary of conversations. You have now tools that actually transcribe video conversations and get you a summary. You can draft emails super quickly using AI, generative AI. You can predict if an opportunity will close. So I think it's like there's like sales reps will have to do much more opportunities, but like it's gonna be much more interesting rather than like spending more time on drafting and scoring stuff. Everything will be done automatically. You're gonna have like some kind of a co-pilot that will be helping you all the time to become much more efficient. So the human factor will stay. I don't think we're gonna be replaced by automated bots or just AI, but we're gonna do much more with less. So instead of 8, I would say 25 can be possible, because all of our time will be dedicated on just the human relationship rather than wasting time on repetitive tasks and just logging in stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as a quick summary, the pace will increase of things happening, and the human touch will stay still at the core. Was your main core message,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like people will still want to talk to people.
Yeah.
I don't think our clients would want to engage with a digital AI. I don't think this is coming anytime soon.
Yeah. Like I really like. I also think the same. I think humans will stay in the center, but man, like ChatGPT or other things are like drafting better essays than most people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
And like, And
Alexa becoming more smart. For instance, I'm throwing out brand names here, yeah, but like I'm throwing a lot of brands here. I'm not promoting a certain one, but like,
and even in enterprise softwares, like every single enterprise software has an AI in it, like anything, like we used to like we use a communication tool internally, and now there's like the option of summarizing conversations. So so you had, like, let's say you had a conversation with a colleague on on an opportunity. You can actually summarize it in this collaboration tool and basically add it to the opportunity, like adding it to the account planning. And it's amazing because it saves you a lot of time,
yeah,
uh, and it's valuable information. Like, you won't be missing on anything. Like, all, like every, like the essence of the conversation will be there.
yeah, yeah. It's also like, it reminds me. Maybe it's not completely the same, but there's robots, robot advisors, like for banks, where people, if they don't want
Yeah,
to spend too much money for like going to a private banker for advice to invest in stocks, they can just
yeah.
talk to
It's so
him like
funny you're saying that.
artificial
Yeah,
intelligence, which will
yeah,
like assign them their money into the stocks and funds. It's, and
it's
some people are using it. I don't
crazy.
know the numbers, but that's
I
also a
am
trick.
using it. I am using, like, on Revolut. There's like this new feature. Yeah, so there's a robot advisor.
Yeah,
It's a kind of a feature, an AI feature, where like you allocate a value of money to like an AI, and
yeah,
this, and based on your preference in terms of like how much risk averse you are, or what kind of stocks you would be interested in. He would pick up on all of your preferences, and he would start investing for you, like $2,000. And like you can say, like, I specified I wanted like low risk. I want to focus on technology, and he would like he would make sure to get you like the best, like the best profitability with the least risk, which is great. I think, like, we don't have like uh, we cannot spend a lot of time on like picking the right stocks and making sure that we're following on the news, on the annual reports and everything. So that's good, good technology applied.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's quite valuable. Let's see how it will change within the next years even more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any final last words like that you want to throw out there to the audience? I don't know. Just a nice memory, a quote, something that motivates you, because then I will be closing this episode. We've already reached about 1 hour.
Yeah. Okay. No, basically,
Mm.
like, look, I love technology. It's I never regretted moving to technology and enterprise software. I see still a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential ahead of us, and yeah, let's see how it goes. I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot for your time. I think we covered many different valuable things here, also for new listeners, beginners. It was a nice, yeah, like refresher
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for this
for
chat.
those topics. And
It was
like,
fun.
if there's someone who's interested to even make more of a deep dive, or who has questions, reach out to us. I can get you in touch with Kamal potentially if he wants to talk.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, definitely.
that's also on the table. And otherwise, then I see you guys in the next episode. And yeah, thank you, Kamal, and stay in touch.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.